This is Discover Crypto. Every day on this channel, we teach you how to make money with digital assets. And folks, we got a gigantic Friday show for you today. It is September 26th. We got to talk about XPL, the next hottest altcoin. What is going on with that? Was this airdrop, was this opportunity as big as people are saying? Or is there a lot of bad information, some misinformation out there? We got to talk about historical levels for Ethereum. Is this the signal? What is going to happen here? We haven't seen this signal. This is a very rare signal that is flashing for ETH. We got to talk about Bitcoin. The options have expired. And we got some World Liberty Fi news as well. Looks like there's going to be a little bit of a token burn. Get your questions in. Get your comments in. Type in your favorite altcoin. We're going to do a little TA on some of these coins here. So if I see a lot of comments on a particular coin, we'll jump in on that one. Let's see here. So YouTubers, whenever the market corrects, they start screaming, we're going down. OMG. Whenever market corrects upward, they start saying OMG to the moon. Well, wait till you see my prediction, Hamza, because I'm not coming in with my opinion just yet. I am going to share that in a little bit. Let's see. Hamza, just trust the process. Some people here top blasted Bitcoin at 124K. It does look like that, and it appears like that. Do a video on ETH L2s like OP. We just did one not that long ago. We talk about OP. We talk about ARB. You got to have on those notifications. Make sure you're following our channel here. But let's go ahead and kick things off with scary price action, everybody. Bitcoin is looking pretty terrible. On the 4-hour, we could still make an argument. There's definitely some hidden divergence forming here. We did have to, we broke down. If you go the smaller time frames, you can kind of see a little bit of strength for this little area. Wicked into it, and then just boom, boom, doom blasted right below. You can see, the bearish candle, the red candles, now coming in with a little bit of support here. And if we go the 1 hour, you can see the 1 hour also hit oversold. But yet again, we have a little bit of some hidden divergence. Now, on the 6 hour, I wanted to point this out. You can see flat. Our divergence is flat, suggesting a potential bottom. This is from the 4 hour to the 6 hour. So now we're potentially going to see it on the 12 hour. Then we see it on the daily. And once you get these daily bull divs, that is historically, typically, fantastic buying opportunity for Bitcoin. You can see it doesn't happen all that often. Didn't happen with this dip. Didn't happen with this dip. Didn't even really happen with this. I guess you could make an argument. This is probably the last one. It's a little bit askew here. You can see there's a lot of activity between the two dips. So I could take an argument that this isn't technically a bull div, but there is an argument that it was. And you can see just a massive, massive pump for Bitcoin after that point. It was a great time to get in. And you would ride a nice 65% pump over about 3.5 months there. And then you go right here, you can see some bull divs. This is probably the last clean bull div we had on a daily, where we actually have close time frame. We can actually see, a nice hidden divergence right here. But there was another leg down. It wicked significantly lower. But after that, that was about the bottom for Bitcoin. This is when Bitcoin was trading around $50,000. So that's a little long-term TA for you. As far as the short-term price action heading into the weekend, we'll look at the 1 hour. You are starting to see a little bit of a bottoming out here. But this is going into a low liquidity weekend. Dumps can happen on a Saturday night, a Friday night, a Sunday night like there's no tomorrow. So do not be betting that the market's going to find any kind of stabilization. The whales can come in and manipulate it. We've seen it with Binance. We've seen it with the winter mute market makers. So I do want to put that on your radar. Now, before we get into ETH, let's look at the rest of the crypto market. We're hitting refresh. Bitcoin, a little bit of a tumble here, down 2.3. ETH is down 2.1. XRP and BNB, huge dumps here, 5%, 6%. Let's keep scrolling. You can see Cardano, 3.5%. And then after that, we don't have too much except for Hype. Hype is looking pretty good. But if we go to the winners, XPL, Plasma. We're going to talk about Plasma. You're seeing a lot of people saying you deposited $1 and you made 18 million bucks. It's not actually true. We're going to dive into what actually was this airdrop. Were you able to participate? Or were you not able to participate? There's a lot of people not sharing the factual information out there. Inflation report is good. So it looks like we just got that. Stocks are pumping, yet crypto keeps dumping. Leverage, Daniel. There is too much leverage. We're going to talk about the leverage, folks. Worst bull market in history continues. It is definitely the strangest bull market, and it's not one that's getting a lot of people a lot of gains. But we have been getting some winners. Aster has been a winner. Hype's been a winner. A lot of these DeFi projects have been winners here. We see Mantle, doing quite well here, probably just picking up a little bit of the plasma narrative here, a little bit of a L2 hype cycle going on. World Liberty Fi was in the green. They did have some bullish announcements, but now just back to neutral. And Hash is down. AVAX, whoo, buddy, look at that AVAX dump. That is down 10%. IMX also down around 10%, and Near and Aster up 172% over the last 7 days, though. So a little bit of healthy pullback. And it is interesting seeing some strong projects down here. BNB is down. Pump.fun is down. Jupiter is down. I know there's a lot of XRP fanatics out there. You're wondering why that thing is down. Tau is down. So we're seeing a lot of corrections across the board here. Now, I do want to share, we are in a trade. We did catch potentially the bottom for Chainlink. Not a whole lot of profit here, only about 8%. We're still going to be riding that. L-Bank, though, huge, big, basically signing here. They signed probably, arguably, the world's most popular athlete, Lionel Messi. Argentina is now teaming up with L-Bank here, and they do have a huge deposit bonus. And so there's going to be a huge bonus. That's interesting. Yeah, so go check out L-Bank. We have a link down below. They're giving 100 USDT there. They're matching deposits there. And so they're going to be doing 100 million prize pool once you combine everything. So big shout out to L-Bank. Check that out. Now, let me read some of these comments. People are asking about XPL. What about XPL, which officially launched yesterday? Is the correct time? I'm probably going to top blast some. We top blasted Aster, and it felt foolish. In the video, we're buying, we're talking about it 60 cents. It was like 80 cents by the time we get the video shot, get the video executed. Felt like a top blast at 80. I saw it at 60. I'm like, guys, I'm making the video. Had to shoot the live stream, had to eat lunch. I come back, it's 80 cents. I'm like, God dang it. I'm like talking about it. I shouldn't even have made a video. I should have just quietly in the dark. I should have just bought some Aster. I'm getting XPL vibes, but I'm gonna break down XPL. Make sure you watch that until you see what the heck is going on with AVAX. Leverage. I think there's too much good news on the horizon. So people are like, all right, it's time to long this token. And then what ends up happening, probably a little bit of market making action, probably a little, exchange dumping, and probably trying to wreck you out of your trades there. Also at the bear market levels, a lot of them certainly are. Bullish on AVAX, but I did sell my bag 5% from the top, buying back around $20. Always good to sell into the pumps there, folks. You got to sell into the profits. All right, now, hopefully you're not dumping everything, though. I like Alex Becker's tweet here, kind of sums it up. Good job panic selling your alts at a 70% discount before they 20x in Q4. You goofy tard. Now, I don't think all these alts are going to 20x. He does come in with a little bit of hyperbolic language. He'll say, I'm going to tell you this altcoin and it's going to 100x. And if it does a 2x, you should probably be happy at the end of the day. He's doubling your investment with some of these micro cap altcoins. Are these altcoins going to 20x? Sure, you're going to point out some that are going to 20x. But all in all, though, you are going to be selling. There's going to be people selling their alts 70% off before they end up doing a 2x, a 10x, potentially 20x. So I would just caution, panic selling right now. You don't want to be a paper hand seller when you see things like that. ETH is oversold, and this only happens 2-3 times a year. Now, went to the daily, and there's a little bit of good news and bad news here. Good news is it is extremely rare. It's extremely rare for this daily RSI to be into the negative when it dips below 30. You can see it didn't even happen right here. That's the good news. It's super rare. Happens not all that often. Great buying opportunity. Here's the bad news. There's a bad side to this, folks. Look what happened when the RSI first hit oversold. You were all the way up here, and it was with this wick right there. If you jumped in and said, you know what? ETH is never oversold. You never see it oversold. It only happens a few times a year. You would then lose 50% of your profits there. So there is, a potential V-shaped recovery like we see right here. But there's also potential for a prolonged downside. So that's why you got to have this dry powder on the sidelines, and it's good to take profits, in retrospect, top blasting or, taking profits at the previous all-time high typically is a good time to take some profits off the table there. Now, going through the 4-hour is extremely oversold. We talked about this 4-hour level on Bitcoin. Now it's time for us to talk about this 4-hour level on Ethereum. I had to go back, I want to say it was a very, very long time. On the 4-hour, hitting 12, which is where we're at right here. This is extremely oversold. Last time we hit 12, it did one leg lower, but then that was the next leg lower. Perfect buying opportunity for ETH. It is my prediction. You will never see ETH that cheap again. And so if you just, even if you got in right there, you're basically getting in $50 away, actually not even $30 away from the potentially all-time Pico bottom. This might have been the best opportunity to buy Ethereum that you'll ever see henceforth. And now we're hitting this same oversold level. Do I think this opportunity now is as good as it was then? Obviously not. We're closer to 4,000 than we are to 1,000. This is, pretty clearly going to be, a better opportunity because it's just a lot lower from the previous all-time high. But just looking at some of these price points where we hit 12% oversold, typically is, if you catch that dip, if you catch my drift, catching that dip is a good opportunity. And you can see it doesn't really happen all that often. Now, this would be a great uptrend, and you would be able to be in profit for a very, very long time. And even if you, just held on and held on and held on, basically just brought you down to break even. You didn't really even lose anything on that trade there. So below 12, great opportunity. Below 12, good opportunity, would go lower. Hitting 12 on the RSI has historically been very, very good opportunities for Ethereum. So Ethereum, very oversold. And I think in the short time frame is going to be a good opportunity. Now, again, going to the daily, we could be entering a prolonged, bearish period. But I think if it does do that, you're going to have these little moments like this. We get a little too oversold. You're going to have about a week or two of a pump. And then that's when you would see maybe that next leg down. So I think we're going to see the next 7 days. We're heading into the weekend. China could dump. It could definitely dump Sunday night. It could fake us all out this afternoon, fake us out Saturday morning. We see green candles on a Saturday. We're like, this feels like the bull market again. I feel like we're back. And then Sunday night, boom, you're going to get clipped out, folks. So just be very hesitant trying to do any kind of big leverage on the weekend, folks. It's just going to be it's designed to wreck you. It is designed to take your money. In all seriousness, I think this is the last bear trap before the huge pump happens in 1 or 2 or 3 weeks. I like the probability, and I would say that is more likely than not going to happen. What do you think, folks? Do you think this is the last bear trap or the first bear trap of many? Can we do ADA? You know what? I actually had an ADA post that I just posted right before we went live, so I'll share this. I wasn't even gonna share this, folks. Are you bullish or bearish on ADA? Looking at the same thing, looking at that 4-hour RSI, 4-hour RSI extremely oversold. It didn't quite hit 12 like it did on ETH. I think it's this is closer to like 18 or so. This is the 4-hour. This is a strong bull div. This is a hidden divergence, very clear. And I would say, last time we had a similar situation, it was back here. And I would say this, to me, is more bullish than what we're seeing right here. You can see the strength trying to return to this RSI, whereas this was just dumping until it got the green light. It's like people are trying to give the green light right now. So there's your little ADA TA for you folks there. So I do appreciate you asking. I love talking Cardano anytime, folks. All right, now, so there we go. Looking at the ETH, looking at the daily. Let's go to the 1 hour. Let's look more of some short-term time. Whew, man, it is looking bullish today. I would be very surprised if we don't have a pretty significant green 4-hour candle, 8-hour candle coming into the words here. Now, there is an article on this flashing the rare oversold signal. First time since 1400 Ethereum. So this price weakness over the past 2 weeks resulted in the RSI flashing potential bottom signal not seen since early April. Now, extremely oversold. That's what we're looking at here on the relative strength index. That's what they call the RSI. And on the 4-hour, you can see 14.5, went even lower, 12 on my metric here. And this took it from overbought to oversold in less than 2 weeks. Last time we saw this low, April, ETH was trading 1400. So RSI, if you don't know what it does, it measures the trend strength and contains 3 key levels: 30 oversold, 50 midpoint, 70 overbought. When it crosses these levels, depending on the direction, traders can make inferences about the future of an uptrend or a downtrend. But during bull markets, it will regularly spend times in the overbought territory. That's what we want to see. But will also spend extended times in the oversold territory during bear markets. You can see it right here. Wait, let's go to actually 22. You can really see it. Yeah, look right there. Imagine jumping in. All right, RSI hit oversold. We're jumping in. Oh my God, the next day's wick just totally wiped us out. But this is good. All right. Ooh, bull flag, bearish flag printing. Oh my God, but this is going to reverse. And it just keeps going lower, keeps going lower. It fakes you out, just designed to trap you. You give up at this point, and then you miss that. And then you ride that down, and then you give up again, and then you miss that. And so the market's designed to shake you out with your emotions, folks. Now let's switch from ETH. Let's switch over to Bitcoin, folks. Let's see. I want to look at some of these altcoins you guys have been posting here. Last one of the year. So wondering if this is the last bear trap here. More pain to come. So some are saying it's the last one. Some are saying there's going to be more. Shout out to Romania. Watch The Challenge off MTV with the wife. And some of my favorite contestants were from Romania. There's a rapper, a female rapper. I put mine and my wife's checks into ETH and sold it for 10K. It was the only ETH I sold. Holding the rest long term. Unless it hits 10K, I'll sell 50%. Don't wait for 10K. Do like 9,200, 8,800. I think you might end up missing a cycle if you're waiting for 10K there. Don't ETFs approval for October 10th for Solana. Pre-rich, I'm talking about October 10th, but how maybe the real date, October 16th. So stick around if you want to know what I'm talking about with that. Look at Compound, Sleeping Giant. I do like Compound. It is going to be a strong DeFi project with a lot of regulatory clarity, but it seems like they're missing out on the Trump team. I think the Trump team is maybe aligning themselves with some different projects, maybe some Aave, Chainlink, some other ones there. Just bought more Gala. I hope it does well. I hope it does well. I certainly hope it does well. But let's talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin, of course, is going to lead the charge when it comes to all these things. Fear. Well, the most fear since 83K's analysts analysis eyes the turning point. I don't like that term. Too soon. Cointelegraph, we're going to say it's the inflection point. Okay, we're looking at the inflection point. So the fear and greed is back at levels not seen since 83K. Analysts are wondering that. Analysis wonders. I think they meant to say analyst. Analysis wonders, like it's this entity. It's a capital A. Analysis wonders whether Bitcoin inflection point is already here. Social media user behavior already suggests that a price rebound should take place next. So the fear and greed, which lags market movements, hit 28 out of 100 on Friday. This is the lowest level since April 11th. The index fell 16 points in a single day. So it went from 44 to 28. Last time we were below 30, it was 83K days after its recovery from the 75K low. So it took a little bit. That 75K happened during it was a holiday or a weekend. It was August 4th. People probably, took a little bit Monday, Tuesday, then they realized how scary things were. And as a result, accompanying analysis argue that the time is right for a market reversal. Could this be the turning point Bitcoin and crypto has been waiting for? And then they throw this insane fever dream graphic. I don't know why they have all the social volume stuff right here. All they had to do is hit the hide eye button right there, and it would have just removed all that. But I just want to show that the fever dream oil spill there. Now, we covered that liquidation event 4 days ago. And then it had another liquidation event just yesterday. And so over the last 4 days, we're now sitting at $2.75 billion in long liquidation has been wiped out. And you can see, not nearly as bad as, well, I would say maybe nearly, almost as bad as it was the day before or a few days before, but not quite as bad. But if you look, it looks like it was the second highest day, period. A lot of leverage washed out of the system over just the past few days here, folks. But not everyone is bearish. Not everyone's bearish on Bitcoin. Did you see one of the largest social media stars, not Jimmy, not Mr. Beast, one of the largest podcasters in the world, just publicly announced he's getting paid in Bitcoin. Who do you think I'm talking about? Let me know who you think one of the largest podcasters is. Maybe you're going to guess it correctly. Maybe you guys have already seen the news there. I'll let you guys try to front run this. Who is the podcaster that's now getting paid in Bitcoin? Can we do OP? Can we do OP? Can we do OP? I'll pull up OP for you. Geez, only because I don't want to reward spamming, but it looks like we had an old old fib levels that we're going to maybe look at here. All right. Damn, son. Where'd you find this? All right. 250K. Yeah. I don't like H bar. Got out of it back in 2021. I'm just trying to 3x my bags. Dot looks like a good buy. What do you think? It does feel like it's bottoming, but I think long term it just bleeds to Bitcoin. Let's see. Wasn't Joe, wasn't Rogan, wasn't Coffee's, wasn't Tiny Tim in his violin there. Let's see. Someone to get it right. Oh, no. StreamYard. There we go, folks. There we go. All right. Let's see. Kita, Tiny Tim's the man. Andrew Schultz. No. Maria got it. It was Theo Vaughn, everybody. No, it's Mario. He's like, God dang it, it is Mario. Stop calling me Maria. My eyes. Actually, I know exactly what it is. It's specifically StreamYard. StreamYard's font, the O's and the A's. It doesn't have the A with the thing on the top. It's just like the little tail. And if you're semi-blind like me, it looks like an O there. All right, so Theo Vaughn was the one. I do want to look at OP real quickly here. I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. Let's just hide that. It's kind of just stuck in this range. I mean, there is a potential for another leg down, but this is about as strong support as you're going to see. So I like the support levels at this range. All right, so who do we see? We see Theo Vaughn, one of the biggest podcasters in the world. Theo Vaughn saying he's getting paid in Bitcoin. MoonPay, one of the biggest partners of the show, they also allow me to accept my payment from them in Bitcoin. So Theo Vaughn, bullish on Bitcoin. And you know who else is even more bullish on Bitcoin? BlackRock. They're opening another Bitcoin ETF. This is going to be different than their spot ETF. Some are suggesting, is this why we're dumping? I don't want to go that far. I don't want to point at every market dump and just, blame BlackRock and then try to back channel the way to the evidence there, the circumstantial evidence. It is a fun theory, though. It's a fun theory. BlackRock. So what's going on here? It's not a normal Bitcoin spot ETF here. It's a Bitcoin yield ETF as a sequel to IBIT. And it is basically a product that would sell covered call options on Bitcoin futures, collecting premiums to generate yield. This sounds a little bit complicated. Easiest way to break it down is it's like leverage on crypto is different than typical leverage you see in the traditional markets. Traditional markets have expiry dates and strike options and put on. They basically have a finish line. So imagine crypto leverage trading with a finish line. And so the way these work is they'll have finish lines, the end of the quarter, end of the week, end of the month here. And so they're going to sell these leverage bets with a finish line to Wall Street. And the way we see the options roll over. You'll see, something big closing on the end of the month here, like, closed 8 a.m. Or 4 a.m. this morning. They'll roll it over to the next Friday. They'll roll it over. And then meanwhile, BlackRock is just making a premium off of all of this. And so there's other people. This isn't a new product. It's just the first one that we're seeing from BlackRock here. It is it's an interesting financial instrument. I was researching it here. So they're calling it the iShares Bitcoin Premium ETF, the covered call Bitcoin strategy to give Bitcoin some yield, sequel to the 87 billion IBIT strategy. I looked, what are some other ones here? We have Grayscale has one, Roundhill, Global X, Amplify, Neos Yield Max here. Synthetic covered calls on Bitcoin ETPs like Bito. There is some downside when I was looking into it. So you're like kind of betting on, these levered calls. You lose some upside. You lose some upside when you buy these. And so if Bitcoin pumps, has a huge, huge pump, you're not going to get the entire pump. And so they're going to roll those. So you end up losing some of that, but then you're kind of covered on the downside. There's no free lunch essentially here, but it is a way for them to get some yield here. And when I saw there's other examples, I had to look into it. None of these are all that particularly popular, but BlackRock will probably make theirs pretty popular. This Grayscale one, you don't see too much activity on this here. And that's when you really start going into very complicated trades there. These are the type of things that you see Paul Pelosi doing. They'll say, here's this Paul Pelosi trade. And you look and it's like covered calls, puts, ratio that yields dividends. And you're like, well, what are you even, are you just betting on it going higher or lower? And they're like, both. And you're like, okay, now Now, what are we even talking about here? Very, very fine details, and then they get you on like all the little fees there. But now let's talk about XPL. Does anyone have XPL? My guess is we covered it a little bit yesterday. We talked about the insane price action. Didn't have quite the time to dive into it because literally it had just been happening that day. So anybody have XPL? My guess is maybe not many, maybe none actually here. Let's see, created their own stablecoin. What do you think of Saluma? Nothing. I think nothing about it here. You don't have to spam it there. Is perp dexes the end of ETH devs or dexes and L1s, L2s? It is eating into exchanges profits. I don't know if it's affecting the coins all that much because it's not really presenting something super new. It's just creating a new way of doing something that's already in crypto, and that's leverage trading there. XPL is for CryptoFace, put in a long on it yesterday. Good job, because he was long 2 days ago, broadly speaking, in the market. So I'm glad that he did get a winner there. I don't know if he was opening longs on Bitcoin and ETH, but he did have a video 2 days ago talking about things going up. XRP, no, we're talking about XPL. What is an XPL? XPL for institutions. Let's break it down here. So XPL, what is it? Well, first we break down the thesis. Here's what people are saying, and then I'm going to poke a hole in this and just say it's not actually accurate, folks. They're calling it the first liquid exposure to the Tether business. The only liquid comparable business is Circle, who had an IPO in June this year at a $6 billion market cap here. So XPL, if you go to it's a stable coin infrastructure for a new global financial system. Oh, wow. High performance layer 1 blockchain purpose built for stablecoins. The way it is, quote unquote, purpose built for stablecoins is similar to Tron. You can move your Tether around basically for free, but dissimilar to Tron, it is actually free. Tron is just so cheap, it might as well be free. And there's people literally making $2 a day. And so, an 8-cent gas fee for buying something, you're looking at 4% of their daily income. Now, I don't know how many people making $2 a day are like swapping crypto, but just kind of using that as a point there. So it's a stable coin focused L1. They advertise $0 transfer fees for USDT, super fast. You can do 1,000 transactions per second. All types of people working with it, all types of partners here. It's got all these different payment methods. It's working with all these different currencies here. It's in over 100 plus countries. You can see who is backed by Founders Fund. I want to say is Thiel related, and Peter Thiel, obviously going to, probably bring big money with him. Peter Thiel, it doesn't really make too much sense to bet against him unless, you're doing it for ideological purposes. But even then, just don't bet with him and don't bet against him. Just stay out of it. No one's telling you to buy Palantir, but I definitely wouldn't try to short Palantir because I don't like Peter Thiel. I think that would be, maybe not the best strategy there. So there's going to be, a stable coin situation. All right. So what's going on with the price action? So this is why people are so bullish. They're saying it's kind of a way to get exposure to Tether. And they say in a comparable, situation, an analogy would be Circle. Circle had an IPO at a $6 billion market cap. It would then shoot up to a $60 billion market cap. Remember, we were covering that stock. We're all like, God, why didn't we just put in everything on Circle? Like, clearly it's a profitable company. Well, it ended up dropping from 60, now settled at 36 billion. Now, this story, people are saying it feels very similar to XPL. Timeline split down the middle on what to do because of the insiders. Insiders are in at 500 million, will sell their bags. They'll say XPL will find a bottom. USDT is way bigger than USDC. So they're saying like, well, this is Tether related. So like you should be even more bullish. Circle is 36 billion. XPL fully diluted is 7 billion. This is a terrible analogy, terrible comparison. Mispricing is obvious. CT's sleeping because the mind share is all on Aster. Who would not want liquid exposure to Tether's business model? I am long. Wrong. You're not getting liquid exposure to Tether's business model. There's someone who said it better than I can, or, I'm just going to read this. I think this is a good take here. This is someone's response. Bro, this is literally one of the worst takes I've read in recent times. No doubt Plasma is a good project with tons of potential here, but buying XPL does not give you exposure to any of Tether's business. It's just an L1 dedicated to USDT. There could be 50 more similar chains tomorrow, and it's not even official USDT L1 chain. It could give just one of many stablecoin chains that they invested. But buying Circle gives you direct exposure to all the USDC business, including if they develop their own L1 called XPL2. You're sleeping, do better research there. And you're seeing people talk about, oh man, OG Discord got, 21,000. OG Discord's got 20K. All low depositors. I kept seeing this. You could deposit $1 and you got 9,000 tokens. I kept seeing people saying 20K. You could deposit $1 and you got $100,000. You deposit $1, you're getting $20,000, $50,000. I kept seeing that over and over and over. I'm fairly sure this is false. When I tried to invest 4 months ago, I was not allowed because I'm not an accredited investor. So no random wallet with $1 could not, in fact, net you $9,000. And so there you go. There's the actual breakdown. Did people miss out on this? Yes. But was it, all I had to do is just go to this web page, deposit $1, and I missed out on 20K? That's not accurate, folks. So don't beat yourself up over this. Don't kick yourself. Don't do the meme in the mirror. We're like, you're such an idiot. That's how I start my mornings. But don't do that, folks. Don't do that. All right, let's look at the comments here. I sold half my XRP yesterday. Was hoping the sacrifice would please the gods, but no luck. Man, you're supposed to put it in a wallet and then throw it into a volcano, effectively burning it from the supply. That's what you're supposed to do. Let's see here. XRP was how Ripple funded operations. Okay, yeah, people just throwing in some XRP FUD. Nothing against that. All right, don't FUD everyone's bag. Let's see. People are really on some XRP. People are arguing about XRP in the chat here. XPL, though. We're talking about XPL. I know they sound similar, but they're different, folks. Let's see. BlackRock's talking about it. Crypto Bros talking about it. BlackRock, we cover the BlackRock XRP news. It's not so much, BlackRock working with XRP. It sounds good when you say it that way, but, it's more partnering with the stablecoin in a long list of people that they partnered with stablecoins. And so it's not as a direct partnership per se there. What do you guys constantly FUD or give late calls? XPL came out just now. So Jumpman. And we gave you Aster early. I'm sorry you didn't buy Aster when we were telling you to buy it at 60 cents. I'm sorry. I wish you would have. I wish I would have bought in at 60. I didn't purchase till 80 cents. We were talking about it. I waited, 36 hours before I pulled the trigger. Why? Just busy trying to give you guys the news here. But FUD, I'm sorry if we insulted your bag. What is your bag? And then let me double down on the FUD here. Type in your bag. I'm watch their non-live videos. Yes. Any look ahead on taxation meeting? We covered the taxation meeting. Yeah, I did see something on the taxation meeting. Looks like I think World Liberty Fi is going to have some people there. How long before I can use my... Okay, I see. Sometimes I read these and I don't know where it's going to be going. Morning, DZ. I know you mainly look at crypto. Can you look at the stock APLD? I think the AI will blow the stock up like crazy. Maybe it will. I might look at that towards the end here. Let's see here. Every thumbnail you guys put out is fun. Hey, we're designed. Hey, I'm just calling it like I see it. And if someone says Bitcoin's heading to 90K and a lot of people are agreeing with it, it is my job to share that with you there. Sold ETH for silver a month ago. Good job jumping in on silver there. Imagine basing all your info off. Come on now. All right. What do you think of Open Ledger? The more open is better, but yeah, I mean, Ledger's really big there. Holy crap, people get mad, doubled their money there. Yeah, they tripled. Remember, went up to 240. What do you think about cornucopias? Gaming just needs that catalyst. And when you see gaming's #1 champion, Alex Becker, not talking about gaming, maybe gaming, it isn't gaming's time, but it will be. Now, look, folks, if you're bullish on Aster and XPL, as they're backed by CZ, Tether, you should be bullish on Falcon Stables FF. It's backed by World Liberty Fi. Spot listing coming on the 29th. So that's just coming very shortly. Basically, you could probably buy this one, sell on the 28th, and there you go. So there you go. I'm giving you your one early, jumping early, but I'm telling you to sell before Binance. Maybe keep that little bit of a moon bag, But folks, you got to be plugged in when they launch on Binance. You got to have on the 1 minute candle, and you got to stretch that y-axis, and you got to have your finger hovered over sell. Because if you try to hold into the Binance listing, you might get dumped on. You're probably going to get dumped on. That's typically how it goes. But sometimes you do get those insane green wicks because too many people short the token heading into Binance listings. And so it depends on how many people are going to, in a weird way, it has nothing to do with Binance, it has everything to do with how many people are going to short the token before it lists on Binance there. So I'm giving you your one early. Falcons, obviously don't buy their stablecoin. Wait, he told me to buy their stablecoin and it's still $1. That's not what I'm talking about. Speaking of stablecoin teams, World Liberty Fi, the backers of the USD1 stablecoin, the community has voted 100% of the liquidity fees are going to be used for the buyback burn. This is only their internal liquidation pools, BNB, ETH, and I think it's another L2 there. The team will begin implementing this initiative this week, and all buybacks and burns will be transparently posted once concluded there. And so we are going to see a little bit of burns. People did the research, though. The burns aren't going to be that effective. In this article, they tell you how much. So looks like they want to launch this burn after 41% price dump here, aiming to cut supply, stabilize value. What caused that price dump? People shorting the token and then ended up blasting there. But if you go all the way down here, some speculate that burning. This is a analysis. This is a prediction here. No one knows for sure what the burn rate will be. Why? Because no one knows how much people are going to trade on these liquidity pools. The more people trade, the more tokens get burnt. Less people trade, less tokens get burnt. But the initial speculation looks like it's going to do about 4 million tokens daily. This would be 2% of the total supply in a year. It's still unclear how many tokens the team will buy back and burn those. So we don't know what the fees will be, but 2% deflation rate. I don't know if that's enough. If I'm going to be honest, I'd like to see a 0 added to that. That would be way too bullish, but that would be the move there. Am I in Hemi? I got stopped out of that trade. Oh, no. Yeah, I'm in the spot. No, I actually made some profitable trades on Aster with Hemi. Not quite losing, but I traded a token that also declined. So I traded my BNB, and it was one of the biggest losers today. So I traded I traded a declining asset into a declining asset. And so when you look at it that way, hey, you're not doing that poorly. I didn't trade stablecoin into it. So I feel a little bit better not trading the stablecoin into Hemi. Sol, yeah, it's backed by YZI Labs. It also has some Binance listings stuff going on. So yeah, I'm not bearish on Hemi. I'm still bullish on that one. Solana, let's talk a little Solana. Then I have a Solana chart I want to share with you folks. Solana slipping below 200. But the ETF verdict could trigger institutional moment. Remember, October 10th, someone in the chat pointed out, but October 16th, we need to look at that too. So Solana fell from 190 or from 250 to 190, but there's a spot ruling on the 10th that could unlock deeper institutional flows, and the RSI setup signals potential short-term bottom despite the broader correction here. Now, here's another date that you need to pay attention to. October 16th. We also have proposals from Bitwise, 21 Shares, VanEck, Grayscale, and Canary. What we have seen, though, is when there is less than a week between applications, they'll do the first date. So we have October 10th. They'll push forward the ones on the 16th, rule on everybody on the 10th. And so I don't think 16th is going to be significant. I think it is all on the 10th. I was kind of clickbaiting you there. So I think it's all or nothing on the 10th. I think we get a decline on the 10th for this. Was it Rex Osprey's? Yeah, Rex Osprey. Okay, no, that's the staking Solana structures less than a spear. Yeah, all right. So still not all indicators though pointing to an imminent breakout from this. Prediction markets say 41% we hit a new all-time high in 2025. So pretty low odds for Solana hitting a new all-time high. So the broader market, pretty bearish here. And this is bullish, though. Supporters argue timing is pivotal. Pantera says they're next in line for an institutional moment. I do think they're going to be following Bitcoin and ETH. So, shout out to Solana for that one. But this is where it gets insane. There's under allocation relative to Bitcoin and ETH. Institutions hold 16% of Bitcoin, 7% of the ETH. but less than 1% of Solana is institutionally owned. This is a bullish catalyst. I don't think Solana is going to have 16% of it institutionally owned, but it's an easy shot to 7% if ETH is at 7%. So that right there is very bullish. Now, Income Sharks, we show their stuff every now and then. I want to give them their flowers here. Income Sharks freaking nailed this 24 days ago. They said, expecting something like this for the month of September. This is the Solana chart. You know, they just pointed out this rising wedge. They said we're going to break out above, then we're going to tap the bottom, and then that's when the breakout starts. Look at that. Look at that. Very good job, Income Sharks. You freaking nailed it. And I'm gonna keep highlighting your good calls there. So I'm boosting them up. I'm boosting them up. You know, I like Ollie charts. I like Colin Talks Crypto. You know, there's a lot of TA people out there. You know, the people making videos. Jason Casper, Crypto Face, obviously, but Income Sharks. That was a good call right there, Income Sharks. Now let's look at Solana. Now this is a log chart, and on the log chart, this is a very, very important level here. So you can see candle body, boom, into the wicks. And if we go to the 4 hour, we have dipped below, folks. This is scary, scary news. We do not want to see a breakdown. But when we go to regular, we got to change this parallel range here. And we got to go to here. And then we got to shift it a little. And it is also scary. It is also showing the breakdown below. Meanwhile, the tops are kind of clean right there. Yeah, so this is no matter whether it's a log chart, whether it's a regular chart, Solana is losing its parallel structure here. It is my time. It is DZ's time to make the predictive squiggle. Folks, are we going to do this? Or, you know, are we going in? I think we're going in, folks. I think this is going to bounce back in. That's going to be my prediction here. Are we going in? Are we going out? Let me know what you guys think. I think it's just too much bullishness. You know, we covered a little bit of that with the legislation that's passing. We got everybody, you know, getting on the same page when it comes to the White House and the Senate and the House and the Treasury Department, the CFTC and the SEC, and they're all starting to coordinate. And you got Elon in the corner, and you know, you got Barron on his phone in the corner, and you got Don Jr. He's extra shiny for some reason. We have all this bullishness in the horizon. And so I'm choosing bullishness. Plus, we have all these altcoin ETFs. Plus, it's September. It's still Slumtober. September is famously bearish. We had an interesting beginning of the month. So everybody was like, oh, this is going to be bullish. It just got everyone changing their perspective enough for it to turn bearish. And then you can see from September 18th until today, the 26th, things are looking terrible, folks. Is Rock's Osprey ETP. I always just like getting the spot assets. I don't want to buy an ETF or ETP there. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? Grainies, everybody here. Binance can only manipulate the price of Solana for so long. That's true, because the Solana reserves are historically pretty close to 100. So a Binance reserve is, if it's at 100%, they mean they have 100% of your assets. But if it's at 110%, they means they have all the customers' assets plus an additional 10%. You'll see these high allocations for other altcoins. Solana for Binance, historically really close to 100. Like they don't want to have any holding pressure, any kind of buy pressure there. I don't know about TA, but I love TA. Isaac just doesn't get it. That's what Drew says to him 5 times a day. Stay out of the parlors, Ken, for sure. Josh got a throat rash on vacation. Got to keep his, really? Oh, man. Yeah, there's a lot of strep throat going around the office. I'm working from home today. SBF, oh, we covered them yesterday, man. There's a lot of news there. All right, now, this is also another chart I want to share with you. This is a DZ original TA. No one else is talking about this. This is Solana priced in ETH. Solana priced in ETH kind of has been in this range since the genesis there. You see, Solana launched, and then it fell, and then, boom, bear market here. Now, Solana kind of, when it's at the bottom, it looks like it should pump relative to ETH. It looks like, maybe you're going to see Solana equal about 10% of an ETH. So if ETH is 8K, we might see an $800 Solana if we hit the top of this range. Right now, though, we're close to the bottom of this range, and we're floating around one Solana is about 5% of an ETH. So if if ETH is $4,000, that means we're going to see a $200 Solana. But look what I've noticed. I've noticed that Solana ETH chart does a falling wedge, and then it'll do a little bull flag pennant. But what happens next? What happens next? Bull flag pennant, huge pump. Bull flag pennant, pump, range, huge pump. Bull flag pennant, huge pump. And so I'm not saying it's going to happen again. I'm saying it has been a semi-consistent trend. We get this very bullish from a technical perspective Solana ETH chart here, where it looks like Solana poised to break away from ETH, and then Solana pumps against ETH, but then it pumps too fast, too quickly, and then ETH has to reclaim some of that momentum. And then Solana says, sit the fuck down. I am the top altcoin. All roads roll through me. SBF, he just tarnished my reputation here. And don't worry about me breaking down in 2022. And you see it here again. It pumped too hard. ETH had to reclaim some of that. Pumped too hard. ETH had to reclaim some of that. And it just seems like it's something that happens over and over and over again. So that's my prediction is we're going to see another leg up. So, and it looks like it exceeds that bull flag pennant almost every single time. So there you go, a little Solana ETH TA. There's that Cardano TA. I was like, why is this up there? Someone was asking about that earlier. So there's the Cardano TA. Looks a little reversey to me. I see an Uno reverse card in the works here imminently, folks. So yeah, it's a little premature. Historically, September always been a very bad month for crypto. It looks like we're all saying it can't happen again. It can't happen again. It happened again. It happened again. It seems like there's a kind of a trend for this cycle here. It's like it will fake us out from the move in the initial period, and then like it can't happen again, and then it'll happen again. Do you think we'll have some of those large flash crashes of 20+% that lasted about 30 minutes like we did several years ago? It wasn't even several years ago. It happened July 4th weekend, and it happened August 4th. Those same crashes happened there. Now, maybe it's not quite as crazy as you were saying, but that's what we saw in July. Let's go here. Boom. Oh, no, it was more yeah, I mean, there's the 4th of July crash. And I guess that wasn't as bad. 4th of July on a Friday into Sunday. Yeah, that's not. Solana must have done better than some of the other ones there. Because I remember there was insane wicks on 4th of July and August 4th there. There's the August 4th dips. And there's the 4th of July dips. August 4th was worse. So I'm kind of confusing the August 4th and the July 4th there. Oh, yeah, August 4th, we did get some of those very significant pullbacks there. It's a one-day period. I mean, again, that's really not that crazy. I guess it was the smaller alts that ended up crapping the bed there, if you will. Yeah, I mean, there's the August 4th dump right there. What are we looking at here? Yeah, so 20%, might be done. Might be done. Yeah, so I would say 20% flash crashes. Now maybe the 5 to 10%. October, yeah. So we are getting that bearish September. Typically, we then get the bullish October. Hopefully that will happen as well. All right, well, folks, that is our show for today. Rent's due on the 5th, must liquidate on the 4th. Unless they're shorting, and then they're making their rent, folks. Then they're making their rent. Pulled money out of Vanguard, roll over crypto. They decided to go with crypto. Smart, like it. No simulation. Okay, Jesus. Some of these, this is why I mentioned APL, the renting out data centers to the big boys. That's a good steady revenue and probably going to continue to be steady revenue. I don't see AI shrinking. BlackRock invested in Athena and also backing by Binance. Yes, Athena. I'm very bullish on Athena. I swapped some dust on my Coinbase into Athena 2 days ago. I'm very, very bullish on Athena there. So later, everybody, I appreciate you guys hanging out, and we'll do the bean juice. We'll end with the bean juice, everybody. I'm sipping some hot bean juice. Just simple black coffee. 3, 2, 1. That's good stuff. Smash that like button on the way out. Appreciate it.